you know, fashion's a rich kid's game. They don't tell you that in fashion school. It's not कि मैंने देखा कि ये 5 actresses हैं and ये top actresses हैं और इनके बारे में बहुत चर्चा हो रही है. मेरे शो में आएंगे, मेरे शो की चर्चा होगी. I don't look at it like that.
We are living in such a bubble, you know. Not everyone wants to become a unicorn or something, and people should highlight that more.
It's a tough one, Muskan. I don't know if I have the answer even. And the reason why you're asking that question is because you're a business owner. If I was a pure creative person, मुझे तुम नहीं समझ रहे हो इसको, ये तो बहुत सुंदर है, मैंने बना दिया है, तुम लो ना लो, मेरे को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है. सच कह रहा हूँ, इतनी एफर्ट आप किसी और चीज़ में डालोगे, किसी भी और चीज़ में डालोगे, you will be much richer, much faster. You know, it's just the truth.
I've seen year by year, like, you know, 90% of students in every cohort are in fashion design course. But the amount of students who end up being fashion designers is not even 1%. So, what does it take to be a fashion designer in India in 2025?
And this is also something very important for people considering startups in fashion or doing labels of their own, is that don't do something just because someone's saying this is the only way to do it.
Welcome back to yet another episode by Just Because. Today we have Gaurav Jagtiani with us, the creative director of Linetribe. Hi Gaurav.
Hi Muskan, good to be here.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited about our little chat and I've been looking forward to it. So yeah, good to be here.
So firstly, I want to say heartiest congratulations on making your first appearance, your debut at LAKME Fashion Week.
Yeah.
How was it? How was the experience?
Oh gosh, it was everything I had expected and a little bit more in certain ways. There was a lot of learning, a lot of chaos, a lot of partying. So it was 5 days of sheer chaotic, memorable energy.
Yeah, it's that adrenaline rush, the constant adrenaline rush.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, it's 24/7.
The hush hush.
It's insane, yeah.
So what was the process like?
So for me, the Fashion Week process was interesting because, of course, you know, as a designer, हमारे लिए Fashion Week बहुत ज़्यादा एक aspirational चीज़ होता है.
Yeah.
Right? We aspire to show at Fashion Week, and I have had a history with Fashion Week earlier. I had another brand. We'll come to that in a minute. But what I'd done was I had applied to a competition. ठीक है? A very prestigious competition, and मैं finalist में था. And when they saw the collection there, what I put together for this competition, they said, you know what, you really have to be a part of LAKME in partnership with FDCI. And I said, ठीक है, let's do it. So they were excited to have me on board. I was excited to do this finally. It was a menswear collection that they wanted to see primarily. So it was very organic. I didn't actually apply. I
Okay.
kind of, you know, put that process in motion. बहुत ज़्यादा naturally, बहुत ही smoothly, बहुत ही, I would say fortunately, you know, it just happened. I'd made that collection, people saw it, उनको अच्छा लगा. Mr. Sunil Sethi was there, Jaspreet of LAKME was there. It was a big, very senior panel that I was presenting to, and everybody was like, okay, you need to be on the ramp. And I said, let's do it. Yeah.
So if a beginner is watching this episode, they can just apply for the show.
Yeah. So basically, उसका जो format होता है, it's very clear. So the first step for a budding label, a budding designer, is Gen Next, which is a very, very interesting category that LAKME has. It's for brand new designers that haven't shown and are of a certain number of years in the business. तो आप उस पर apply करो. It's a competition again. They choose a certain number of people, and you get this incredible platform to launch yourself. So that's step one. You do need to apply. There's a jury. It's very stringent, and if you crack it, then बहुत PR मिलती है आपको. It is one of the most awaited shows of LAKME. It's extremely special to be part of that, and it's a very good group of people to be a part of. So that's one. Then, depending on seniority in terms of years, there are other segments that you can apply to, and there are categories. You can share a show with 2 designers, you can share a show with 1 designer, or you can do a solo show as a designer, but there is screening because of course it's a premiere event and एक process होता है उसका. You do have to follow certain guidelines. Your work has to be a certain standard and a certain quality, and there are these experts in both the LAKME and FDCI teams that are making sure that really the best gets to show. So it's challenging, and that's what makes it special being a part of Fashion Week. You've been selected, you've been really picked from a number of people.
At the end, they want to make a good show.
They want to make a great show, and you need to be part of that benchmark.
So Gaurav, there's a lot of banter going on social media, that Bollywood celebrities are walking the ramps and they are overshadowing the models. Like everyone knows. So what's your take on that?
Wow, Muskan, that's a loaded question.
I've been waiting to ask this
one, but I do have an opinion on this. Personally, I come from a school of thought that really I am obsessed with models. I think models have something that most people don't have. It's a certain quality.
It's the reason they're models.
It's exactly why they are models, especially ramp. So, it is also a skill. Modeling and having that aura is a skill. It is a very specific calling. It's not just because you're 6 foot something and you look good that you can become a model. To carry clothes, to embody a mood, to walk out on a ramp, to be so in control of yourself and to project that, it's not acting, it's a different skill. There should be a name for it, but there isn't. It's just that aura that a model has. So, in my thinking, that's something very special. And वो उन्हीं में है, models में है, super models में है वो बात. They can walk into a room and okay, she's a model, he's a model. So for me, it is a platform, especially ramp, where nobody, and I mean nobody, can do what a model can do. This is my thinking. But you are right, and I think एक ऐसा system बना हुआ है अभी, या एक ऐसा format बना हुआ है where the celebrity quotient is something that gives you eyeballs.
100%.
And हम सबको पता है, it's a social media era. Okay, eyeballs and imprints and just that footprint and that number of views, that number of likes, that reach.
The really, EMV.
Exactly, is what's shaping how a lot of formats are being shaped, right? Not just fashion, not just ramp. बहुत चीज़ों में अभी ये एक shift आ रहा है. So similarly, on the ramp, when people need that kind of reach, I think they call in celebrities, actors, actresses. I think ultimately the call lies with the brand, okay, and the designer. As the owner, you need to know कि मुझे इस शो से क्या establish करना है. अगर मुझे ये establish करना है कि ठीक है ये line है, ये collection है और मैं चाहता हूँ कि ये इतने हजार, इतने लाख, इतने करोड़ लोगों तक बस ये पहुँचे, तो ठीक है, शायद वो जरिया है.
Janvi Kapoor will help you.
Kapoor will help you do that. So you need to be clear as to why you're getting these people and आपका क्या उसमें से translation हो रहा है. If you're clear on that, great. If you notice, Janvi Kapoor walked for Rahul Mishra's breath line, a few. These are breath lines, okay, that they are now putting where they need
the eyeballs.
The eyeballs. Like an Anamika Khanna, the main label, or a Rahul Mishra, the main label, may need a different kind of treatment. For these labels, I think reach is important and they go about it in that way. So I completely respect that as well. But ultimately, it's the story you're crafting, because that is what a fashion show is. It's ये आपकी कहानी है, ये आपकी collection की कहानी है, आपकी brand की कहानी है, आपकी अपनी कहानी है. उसमें अगर ये कुछ किरदार play कर रहे हैं, then great. Then you hand that across to them. I feel though that also in some cases it becomes the Janvi Kapoor show. It becomes the Tara Sutaria show. So you know, you have to be, it is also a designer's moment. It is you know how it is, you know, you're working for months behind the scenes, and you have that 20-minute window to say that this is me, this is my story, and you don't want people to take away from that show saying Janvi Kapoor walked for the show.
Until you said this, I forgot about the fact that it was for Rahul Mishra's spread line. I was just, it was in my mind that yeah, Janvi Kapoor walked.
Exactly. And since then, the chatter has been about Janvi's walk, Janvi's this, that. So, again, if it's a tool, if you never know, it could be part of the team's strategy to say we don't care as long as we're talked about.
Yeah.
And हमें acknowledge करना है कि ये है era आज का.
Kind of publicity.
Kind of publicity. You just, अगर लोग बात कर रहे हैं, then it's a success, and that is the truth. And as designers and as people who've been working for a while, we also need to kind of acknowledge that and say that ठीक है, this is also a metric. Is that for you or not for you is up to you, and from there you can take it. Personally, at the stage where I am and the kind of clothes that I make, I would, if I were to get a celebrity, I also want to see compatibility.
Exactly, exactly.
कि it's not कि मैंने देखा कि ये 5 actresses हैं and ये top actresses हैं और इनके बारे में बहुत चर्चा हो रही है, मेरे शो में आएंगे, मेरे शो की चर्चा होगी. I don't look at it like that. I'm like, okay, but like I'm a brand too. It doesn't matter, small.
They should complement my brand.
To complement, and that's another key aspect I feel, because the moment it is a real compatibility, honestly, public भी वो समझती है. You know, the people are not stupid. I think we kind of tend to underestimate our audiences. अगर कोई देख रहा है शो तो वो चाहे subliminally भी हो, चाहे subconsciously भी हो, वो समझ रहा है कि हाँ, you know, ये एक्ट्रेस इसने ऐसे रोल किए हैं, या उसने कहीं किसी मंच पे ये बात की है, she stands for this, and इसलिए वो अब इस ब्रांड के यूनिवर्स में फिट करती है.
What I feel about this whole situation is that, you know, if you want, I'm not against, you know, Bollywood celebrities working, but it has to fit your vibe. Like if a Sonam Kapoor is working, she has a personal style, she is known for fashion. Like if supposedly Athiya Shetty is walking, she looks like a model.
Yeah, I love Athiya.
So, you know, it has to go in that direction. Or if you get like a pop culture icon like a Diljit Dosanjh.
Yeah.
As well. Absolutely. You can't just get anyone.
You can't just go like,
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't, and sometimes I feel like people are going down that route.
Yeah. But I think as a country, you know, we are just obsessed with Bollywood and cricket, so we can't blame, like it's like in the necessity you will.
Yeah, and as I'm saying, I understand that there's big bucks involved. It's huge business. You know, there is the perspective is that of the masses, right? What, you know, you're seeing translation on a scale that is so large, and a reach that only someone at that level brings you.
So tell me now, coming to Linetribe, how did it happen?
Wow, Linetribe, Linetribe is my baby, and it's been. I think as a professional working in fashion, I've had a very interesting journey. It's been a longish journey as well, but it's been a very unique journey. I mean, I know a lot of people, and मैं कह सकता हूँ कि most people have not had the same trajectory that I've had in fashion, and I think that's my strength.
Can you elaborate?
I will elaborate. I love to talk about my story. So, you know, I started with a brand, and many years ago I had a brand. It was called Gaurav and Ritika, with my very, very dear friend Ritika, who was also from Pearl, like you, by the way, Muskan. And she and I had this brand. We were very young.
How old were you?
I mean, early 20s. I think 22 is when we just randomly started. And at that age, 21, 22, you only start something with the blind confidence of the youth, right? With this sense of, you know, we got this. And it was a very interesting time in Indian fashion. Western wear was just kind of coming into its own. People were moving away from the concept of just, you know, lehenga, choli, sari being Indian fashion. बहुत कुछ हो रहा था. Just pre-Instagram, okay? Instagram wasn't quite there at this point. Anyway, so we did Fashion Week with our brand. very well received. We did a lot of fashion forward clothes, very avant-garde, very cool stuff. We really were creatively very fulfilled by that process. And then after a few years, we showed regularly. We did the whole fashion thing. We were in stores, all of that. But we were a bit tired. We wanted to do a few other things with life. We wanted to kind of take a break, because as you know, fashion is draining. Fashion has a lot of fatigue in it. मतलब कोई ये बात आपको कहेगा नहीं, and इसके ऊपर कोई बात नहीं होती है. But running a small fashion business, and everyone who's listening should know, because it's the truth, it's not easy, especially if you're bootstrapping it. It takes a hell of a lot out of you. So I think we were a bit tired, and we said, let's just give this a bit of a rest. And then another very dear friend of mine called Urvashi Kaur asked me to come on board and kind of consult with her. And then I was like, okay, that's great. She's a friend, and she had a lovely, beautiful, strong.
She makes great clothes.
She makes beautiful, intelligent, really wonderful clothes. Also doing a lot of art direction for different brands, styling, shooting campaigns, writing a little bit in fashion. Because मेरे अंदर ये हमेशा से था कि because I started a brand so early on, I always felt like मुझे ये भी करना था, मुझे वो भी करना था.
As creative people, we can't just stick to one thing.
I started doing art direction with Amazon as well, which is a whole different ball game. And this was all till 2020, okay? And then we know what happened in 2020, and COVID hit, and I'm like, okay, everything just kind of shut down, and
Now what?
Now what? This is like a forced break. So this pause comes, and then I do a little bit of self-reflection, and I'm like, okay, this much time that I've spent on, different things, different projects, different brands. Do I feel like I have something to say now? Do I feel like I have something to put out in the world? What are my reasons for wanting, say, a label of my own? And this is also something very important for people considering startups in fashion or doing labels of their own, is that you've got to be very clear as to why you're doing it.
What can you bring to the table?
What are you bringing to the table? What are you trying to build that's different? And what's the end game? Vision of how, why, when, business.
At the end of the day, it's a business.
It's a business. So I kind of put those things down. I knew what I wanted to do and why I wanted to do it. And I was like, okay, I feel like I can do this. I want to do this. And I had this great sort of skill set by then, and network, which is also important. And I said, chalo theek hai, shoot karte hain. So that's where Instagram helps. I didn't need a big machinery to kind of push this here or there. Fully organic. Just put it out there. And, that sort of traction started. Immediately we had celebrity sourcing. We started sending the pieces out.
Nice. So I've seen that there's a very interesting underscore up
your
logo type.
There is, yeah.
Can you share the story?
The story. So I do all my graphics myself. I'm pretty decent with Photoshop. I like doing it. It's a stress buster for me. So I designed the logo myself, and when I was doing the logo, I went through like hundreds of fonts, right? And then I zeroed in on the one that I have, and I was playing with it. And I felt like Linetribe, just Linetribe as a logo, just wasn't giving me that impact. And typography is important to me. Fonts, I love fonts, and I can browse fonts for hours. It's like a black hole I fall into. So I was like, I thought of many things, like a dash, semicolon, what do you call it, that star. I thought of many things, and then I was like, no, an underscore is nice because it denotes space, I'm like, I stand apart. My brand stands apart. If you see 5 names, the underscore is always going to imprint.
Yeah, it'll take the space.
Take that space. And you will notice the brand. It's never going to merge with the next word, whatever the word is. And it looked good to me, and I was like, it's working. I do a lot of intuitive design as well. Sometimes I don't overthink it.
I think as like people, we should follow our gut more.
100%, 100%. I wish I try and follow my gut, but I still sometimes make a decision based on overthinking. Never works out. Your first instinct
Is always right.
is always right. You know what your gut tells you, it is always the right direction to take. Just listen to your gut. Yeah.
Nice, interesting part in the underscore thing, because I am very picky on the details. That ये इसने ऐसा क्यों लगाया, ये इसने इधर क्यों करा. So I was seeing, I was like, I have to ask this.
No, yes, good, because I do everything very intentionally. I mean, nothing is unintentional. Everything has thought.
I've been in a design college, as we talked, Pearl, and I've seen year by year, 90% of students in every cohort are in fashion design course. But the amount of students who end up being fashion designers is not even 1%. So what does it take to be a fashion designer in India in 2025?
Oh, wow. That is a heavy one, Muskan. That is a it's a tough question. So it's a complex question with a complex answer, I feel, but I think some of the factors could be that number one, most people who get into fashion courses, fashion design courses, may not have an understanding, like I didn't, of what it even really is.
Or what they're
going into. You know, if you've seen someone in your house, in your family, in your friend circle, जिसकी मम्मी, जिसके पापा या कोई ना कोई designer है, वो अपना चला रहे हैं काम, then you have an idea, and then you can make a better informed decision. But how many of us have that, right? Like I went into it being like, मुझे कपड़े चाहिए, I'm good at drawing, I'm great at art, I'm sort of creative, let's just do it. Frankly, I wasn't one of those people who was like, like in class 6 being like, मेरे को designer बनना है. No, I didn't even know what a designer does. But I kind of like clothes and I like putting myself together, and I have a big idea of like color and art. It's only literally you go into the course, you do the course. Even that's okay. You're stitching, you're cutting patterns, you're doing the the artistic part of it. You're loving all of those elements. Some you like, some you don't like. That's fine. Then you get out, right? Then you join somewhere, and that first day at work is when you go like, oh my god, reality check. Even internships don't really quite give you that, because you're still cocooned as an intern. Maybe you're GP, but like I feel it's only when you're out there, in that unit in Okla or Noida or Shapurjat, and you're beginning to understand the amount of input it takes, right? You really have to be passionate and passion-led to do this. Stupidly passionate to do this, frankly, because इतनी एफर्ट, सच कह रहा हूँ, इतनी एफर्ट आप किसी और चीज़ में डालोगे, किसी भी और चीज़ में डालोगे, you will be much richer, much faster. It's just the truth. I can't sugarcoat it. Exactly. I can't sugarcoat it. Everyone who sticks to it is doing it for something greater than the money. Because the money is not great. It's really not. It gets better. But like if you talk to any business person and look at a 10-year-old business in fashion versus a 10-year-old business in manufacturing or in most other sectors, our turnovers will be very different. Too many variables in fashion, too many risks. It is risk laden. It really is. Again, can't sugarcoat it. So you end up doing it out of other reasons as well. You're right. Like so many people I know who are probably studying, they're not into that into the line only anymore. I took a step back, as I told you at the start. It's something that you really need to do with a lot of focus and hard work and energy. The energy it sucks out of you is crazy. It's very draining. So I think that's probably the most unsugarcoated, realistic version. Brutal version. Guys, you still need designers, so
not for the light-hearted.
No, you need to have a really strong
thick skin.
to be doing it.
I think you have to be a little bit of psycho as well.
Oh, 100%.
No sane person will do this.
100%. If you're mentally okay, you're gonna bounce. You're gonna be like, "Ye sab pagal hai." Like, what are they doing? Yeah, of course you have to be batshit crazy, and I think most of us are. But then उसका स्वाद अलग है, you know, उसकी fulfillment अलग है. वो craziness में आप जो सुकून पाते हो and आपको जो result मिलता है, you know, that is something else. But it's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for everybody. That's 100% true.
But I like psycho people. I think that they're just very interesting.
Yes, which is why I'm on your podcast, Muskan. Thank you for having me.
Attract those kind of people. Your vibe attracts your tribe.
It is true. It is true. You should meet my friends. All psychos. Yeah.
To the tribe, there's this very interesting thing that, you know, some labels go with name, like namesake labels, and then there are brand names like Linetribe, which doesn't have your name. So how, like, what is your school of thought in that direction?
School of thought. So my very first label was called Gaurav Jagtiani. It had my name on it, and I shut it down, and I felt really bad about shutting it down because it had my name on it. So when I restarted, I very consciously felt that it's an entity that has to be independent of me. Right? Because I'd understood a little bit more about the market, about business, about how things work, and I said, it is its own being, and it's not Gaurav Jagtiani. Gaurav Jagtiani is me. This brand has elements of me, a lot of me, but it has elements of various other people, various other things, various other factors, and I don't want to be connected in that way to it. Don't get me wrong, I'm very connected to my brand, but connecting to something that has your name on it is a whole different level of psycho. There's a whole different level of pressure, and a whole different level of you know, complexity. And again, as I said, when I you know, I came back to this, right, consciously. It was a step I've taken consciously and with focus, and I said, no, I don't want it to be like that. It is its own beautiful being, its own beautiful identity. It's a company, and I have to have that space. I just have to have it, and I'm very happy I've done that.
Nice. When I was naming this podcast, I was looking at 50 other podcasts, you know, out of 50, 40 had their names on it. So then I asked myself, should I do that?
Yeah.
Like every good podcaster is putting their name. And I was like in such a thought कि यार क्या करना चाहिए करना है, like मैं तो होंगी ना यहाँ पे.
Exactly. आपको equation से नहीं हटा सकते.
Yeah, I was like, this is like, it's not about me, it's something bigger. मैं तो हूँ ही ना यहाँ पे.
भाई तुम्हारे नाम उस पे फॉर्मली होने से कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है, you know, वो तुम्हारा ही creation है. There's
statement of its own में इसमें क्या?
It is by Muskan. Yeah, it doesn't need to be like that. I mean, people do it, and fair to them, and you know, however they wanna build their brands. But yeah, I am of the same thought as you that there's no question कि ये मेरा brand.
You know, जब आप अपना नाम पढ़ते रहते हो ना, you get sick of it.
Yeah.
इतनी बार तो मैं अपना नाम ही नहीं सुन पाऊँ.
Exactly. I don't want to see, you know, on a billboard or like in LAKME Fashion Week with the, you know, the names. I'm like, Linetribe, I like it. I feel very happy. I feel like हाँ वो मेरा बच्चा है, you know. So कि मैं नहीं हूँ, but ठीक है, मैंने बनाया है. So it's you feel proud and happy, and it's nice having that little anonymity.
Yeah.
कि ठीक है, you know, you don't immediately have to be like, oh, you and this. Take 2 minutes. Find out that yes, it's me behind this brand.
At being a creative person, as we both are, and managing a business, they are two separate things. And we tend to, you know, forget the business part sometimes, but at the end it's a business. So how to find that balance? Because this they don't teach you in design school.
They do not teach you that, girl. No, you're right. It's a tough one, Muskan. I don't know if I have the answer even now. You know, in this situation, मुझे लगता है कि we part of why we are designers is because design is problem solving, okay? And we're not artists. And I have to keep reminding myself that, and I think a lot of designers should remind themselves, I am artistic. What I do has elements of art, but I'm a designer. And a designer that runs a business. Also because you start beginning to understand that business is also creative. There is a creativity to business. There is a creativity to strategizing. There is something beautiful about understanding the mathematics of the business. You know, how do you get to certain targets? How do you get to, you know, overcome certain fundamental problems in, say, a design because it's not selling, and you love it, and you've made it, it's in the store, and you're like, ये टंगा हुआ है तब से, कोई देख भी नहीं रहा है इस piece को, it's so beautiful, मेरा favorite piece है. And the reason why you're asking that question is because you're a business owner. If I was a pure creative person, मुझे पता तुम नहीं समझ रहे हो इसको, ये तो बहुत सुंदर है, मैंने बना दिया है, तुम लो ना लो, मेरे को कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है. पर मुझे फ़र्क पड़ रहा है आज के डेट में. इफ़ आई गो टू एनी ऑफ माई MBOs और माई स्टूडियो, और मैंने यू नो इफ आई सी अ पीस दैट्स हैंगिंग देयर, मुझे लगा कि ये भाई 3 हफ्ते से यहाँ पड़ा है, किसी ने ट्राई भी नहीं किया है. आई एम एक्साइटेड टू अंडरस्टैंड क्या दिक्कत है इसमें, वाई इज समवन नॉट ट्राइंग इट, एंड दैट्स वेयर क्रिएटिविटी कम्स इन, बिकॉज द सोल्यूशन इज इन समथिंग वेरी सिंपल. लेंथ खराब है, वो वेस्ट पे अजीब बैठ रहा है, too much fabric, too little fabric maybe. There are some very, because you're working with those elements of design. आपकी language है, इसलिए आप कर रहे हो, इसलिए आपने इतने time से किया है business. So it has your design language. It has the stamp of the designer. It's a Gaurav Jagtiani Linetribe piece. Now there's something basic and something simple that if you tweak, it'll sell. And I've done that. I've literally done that. I'm like, acha, and I do a lot of pop-ups and exhibitions, which is, you know, when you go and you put your stuff up and you're dealing with clients. I love it. I to love
one-on-one feedback.
One-on-one feedback. And they'll come and they'll be like, you know, ये तो बहुत सुंदर है, but ये बाजू ना मेरे को समझ नहीं आई, ये ना छोटी बाजू है, ना full है, ना ये है. And it's very simple and it's a little boutique-y, I get it, but I love it. It's the same, you know, you don't have to completely give up on your design language, and you don't have to like abandon what you're doing to customize something. And customization is a very key part of the Indian fashion ecosystem, and there's nothing wrong with it. You do it with your own set, your template. It's not like someone's saying कि भाई इस top को आप मतलब लहंगे में convert कर दो, that you're not going to do. But there are small things you can do that appeal to the customer, and then if you do that, they will be your customer for life.
Yeah.
And there is no better feeling than having someone come up to me and be like, you know, we bought this from you last year, we've worn it so much, Gaurav मुझे you know कुछ और दो, because वो तो मेरे friends कहते कि तुम यही पहनती हो हमेशा. And I love that. I'm like, that's such a great thing for you to say, and you know, they're like, no, I love wearing it.
Just because you listened.
Because I listened. I think our job as designers is also to listen. You know, we do need to understand that these are real people.
So is this how you find your balance to, you know, what you want to make and what actually sells? By listening, by taking the feedback?
And my pop-ups and my exhibitions have helped me so much. You know, a lot of people turn their nose up at it. I don't know if I want to be selling on a stall. I'm like, yeah, I'll sell at a stall. I love listening to feedback, and I'm chatty, as you can tell. I like having conversations. I like these people coming in, these girls, these ladies, and they come in and they're like, you know, and I'm like listening. I'm seeing them trying. You know, there's so much psychology that goes into it. You understand so much about psychology. You understand about regions. Hyderabad में क्या चीज़ successful हो सकती है, क्या, you know, what are the kind of styling that they do versus what would work in Kolkata versus what would work in New Delhi or Mumbai or Nagpur or Raipur.
Of course, अगर आप उनसे मिल रहे हो, then in future if you want to place your collection in Hyderabad,
exactly,
you know what
to do over there, and everything is data, as anyone will tell you कि आज की डेट में it's all data. And India is such a big bloody country कि यहाँ North India का data from South India का data from other parts of India का data is very different.
I saw that you have a very cult following by major influencers from Masoom Minawala to Kusha. Everyone has been wearing Linetribe.
Yes.
So how has the, you know, influencer impacted your business?
You know, a lot of this for me has been organic, right? The path.
Yeah.
So I did know that influencers are significant and that they have an impact. I wasn't quite sure of just how big that impact is or what the translation is. I will say this, not everybody who has necessarily a big following translates to a big impact.
Yeah.
That was a big learning for me. I was like, okay, she has like, you know, this many million followers, so translates to this much traction.
Yeah.
But no, sometimes it's even people that have smaller followings who will, you know, give you great impact. So I remember, for example, the shorts thing that I was saying, the jacket with the shorts, was this influencer called Roshni Bhatia, Chic Factor. And it goes insane. Like, people were like, you know, we want it like this, and I was, you know, my DMs are blowing up. The website wasn't ready yet, so, you know, it was all through Instagram, which is very difficult for me to keep up because, you know, you just like, Instagram's tricky, right? I'm like, have I responded to this? Or like, sometimes you just miss a message.
Instagram DMs are so bad.
It's very bad.
It's very bad.
The PP, I can't. It's very difficult.
PP is so annoying. I think it just people should stop doing.
Should stop. And but Roshni was one of the first, so I didn't know ki, you know, I was trying to respond to everybody. But you know, taking on from there, every influencer that's worn my garments has been organic. I have never, you know, sort of worked on a deal or a strategy. And that's really the core of my brand also, you know. It's very like, look, this is who we are, you know. And we are about community. If you think something in this offering is something you can do something with, then by all means we're here for you to source, you know, however. But it has to be, you know, organic. But I'm not out here making these calls and messages and reaching out to people to say, you know, come wear me.
Yeah.
And I like that in that way, because it's wonderful, because all of these girls are so intelligent. They have their, you know, they know the pulse of the industry. They know themselves.
Yeah.
They see it. They like, Roshni probably already knew I'm going to wear it with shorts. I won't even wear it with the pants that he sends me. She had the look, and that excites me, because that means aapne wo cheez dekhi hai and you've just gone for it. And you're an influencer, and you know, and you're styling yourself every day. You have this huge following. It's great because you've seen it, you've spotted it, and either them or their stylists. But it's really wonderful to see. Masoom also, I saw, had a massive impact. You know. You can tell that the following and that the people that are, you know, her tribe are very, very loyal to what she does and, you know, what she says and what she stands for. So she picked an ikat set from us at the time, and I remember that I always do ikat in my own way, because I don't necessarily adhere to like this material-centric approach. So I put neon in there, and I'll put like my little, you know, pinstripes, and she said, you know, she loved it, and she was like, I want to wear it, and I was like, great. So, you know, it's Ashna Shroff also. What a lovely, you know, sense of style she has, and she wore me to her, you know, she was in Paris during Paris Fashion Week, and she wore it there. You know, these are girls that really know fashion.
Yeah.
They really know fashion inside out, and they spot something, and when they want it, they want it. And that's the best kind of publicity, and the best kind of translation, and the best kind of community, because it's authentic, you know. Now that person also has a connect with me. It's a small brand. I'm handling my Instagram. So she's like, hey, can you connect me? I'm like, it's Gaurav, this is my number, let's get on WhatsApp. Hey Gaurav, we like it. And I like that, you know. That is my jam. That's what I want to do. I don't want to build a Zara. I don't want to build this massive thing, you know. And mind you, it doesn't mean if you're small you're not if you're not creating impact. It doesn't mean if you're small you're not making the money. You can do it, you know. It's about, again, value, and you know, smaller smaller volume but higher, margins maybe, and better profits. And you can do that, and make sure that your team is nurtured. Make sure that your everything is taken care of. You have a good work environment for the small but very highly trained that I now have team that I now have. So this influencer outreach and as you said, the cult following has happened so beautifully in exactly the way I wanted it to happen. They do come with clout. They do come with a certain impact. There is a translation in terms of business. Sometimes there isn't, and that was also interesting.
But yeah, coming back to what you said, that not everyone wants to be at that scale. Actually, it's not like we are living in such a bubble. Not everyone wants to become a unicorn or something, and people should highlight that more. That I don't want that. People are tasalli honi chahiye life mein.
Bilkul. And you really hit upon something so key. यार लोगों को लगता है ना कि सिर्फ एक रास्ता है, एंड लोगों को ये लगता है कि सिर्फ, एंड बिकॉज इतनी इन्फॉर्मेशन है आज हमारे फिंगर टिप्स पे. आप इंस्टाग्राम खोलो, सब आपको टिप्पणियाँ देंगे. ये आप 5 चीज़ें करो आपका बिजनेस बढ़ाने के लिए, ये आप कस्टमर रिटेंशन के लिए ये करो, ये करो, ये करो, ये करो, बड़ा बिजनेस करो, स्केल करो. आज आपके पास 50 लोग हैं, कल आपके पास 5000 लोग होने चाहिए. Already fashion has a terrible reputation because of the sustainability factor.
Yeah.
There's so many things that we have to consider. ऐसे मकाम पे, ऐसे सिचुएशन में, ऐसे हालात में, why would I want to chase scale? I don't have the bandwidth. I'm not that founder. My father has an garment exports background. I'm familiar with scale. I understand what it's like to make like 1 lakh white shirts. Yeah. Not for me, and not for my kind of business. As a founder in fashion, doing your own thing, ये बहुत important है, fundamental है कि आप समझो what kind of business you want to build, because you can build various kinds of businesses. To me, like I said, I'm giving a value proposition. It's an authentic product. It's got my designing in it, my brain in it, my point of view in it. If you go on my Instagram, you will see each picture tells a story. There is nothing there. There is no buy me, buy me, buy me. It's a story. It's my design philosophy. It's my tribe. It's Linetribe. It's a tribe. It's a community. उसमें कुछ basic factors हैं, वो आप देखेंगे. Subconsciously those are repeated. And जिसको पसंद है वो खरीद रहा है, वो प्रीमियम दे रहा है उस प्रोडक्ट के लिए. People are spending. People have spending power. As we are going forward, the market is becoming diversified. Okay. My personal theory is this: that either you can go big and really big. You burn the money, you structure the company, you take the investment, you build the scale, and you show a certain kind of value to an investor. I'm a designer wear brand. It is already an aspirational proposition. It is already something that I don't want everyone to have, because I don't think people will understand it, and we are building something aspirational. This is a different kind of investable proposition. In the kind of structure that I'm making, people understand that on a very lean machine, on a very lean setup, on a very highly trained, sophisticated setup, you can still make great profits.
Yeah.
When that pandemic hit, when I sat with myself and I said, what do I see in my future? What do I see for my brand? Did I see like this, 15-story building in this massive complex and this and that? No, I didn't. I saw a very beautiful, well-made, small atelier with great facilities, a place that people really loved working, that I loved going, and every day I walked in there, I'm like, okay, this is a space that's alive. You have to come visit me in Shapoorjar in my studio. It's a small space, but it's a space that is filled with so much love. It's one floor. We are all in the same floor, and there's a glass wall behind which I sit, and I can see my tailors and my master G and my, the team. And on this side we have like a high table with high stools for my cute little design team and my interns, and we're all together. And it's transparent, truly transparent. It's truly equal. I don't like hierarchy. I hate it. So that is really the sort of vision that I have.
Core.
That's the core. That is the core, and it's so important as new business owners, non-background business owners, to understand कि भाई मेरे जहन में क्या है, मैं मुझसे क्या होगा,
To ask yourself the right questions.
right questions. And I said, I like business. That's my learning. Maybe it's my part Sindhi genes. I'm like, this is, there is something. I understand the logic of business. What do I not like about it? I don't like the other bullshit. And I don't want that. And can we focus here and build like this? Yes, we can.
So one last question.
Absolutely.
Do this with every guest.
Sure.
It's our favorite question.
Okay.
What is the best piece of advice you have ever received?
Best piece of advice I have ever received. Take a pause. Remember to pause before any big decision, before any big commitment. You don't have to feel compelled to respond or react instantly. If you have to reply to a message, something as small as that, or if you have to sign some important papers, or say yes to a big project. I'm also trying to learn this because I think as people that feel कि opportunity आ रही है, कर लेते हैं, it's important at times to say, I need to think about this. I will pause before saying yes to the next thing or no to the next thing, whatever your response is. But take time to breathe and then respond.
That's nice. Piece.
That's my little piece of advice.
No, but I love this whole conversation.
I can't wait to see what you do with it, and thanks for having me. I think the questions were great. You're so good at what you do.
Thank you so much.
This was like really quite a exciting experience for me also. I think, I didn't know I had so many takes on things and so many opinions, So it's good you brought that out of me. So thanks for that. It was very enjoyable.
Okay, Gaurav, thank you so much for your time, and see you guys next week as we launch new episodes every Saturday.